Hello fellow woodworkers and welcome to this week's edition of the Garage Workshop 10-minute tool review. This week we're going to be looking at buying tools from foreign websites. Roll the intro. So this week, fellow woodworkers, I'm not building anything in the garage workshop and I'm not reviewing a single product, but I think and I hope this video might be interesting to some of you. And it's the second time I've worn my Christmas jumper. Now, I'm not sponsored by Lidl, but that's where this jumper came from, and thank you to all of the really great comments about my jumper from the last video. But this week, I want to talk about something that is very popular amongst woodworkers at the moment, and that is whether it's worth buying goods from abroad. Now, most of the goods that you buy woodworking wise are made in China anyway, so if you buy a DeWalt brand or other brands, most of them have a manufacturing plant in China. But what we're going to look at today are some of the websites and some of the products that I've bought and whether I think it's worth doing it or not. So let's get cracking with the first thing that I bought abroad. I should also start by saying that this video is not sponsored in any way, shape or form. I'm not affiliated with anybody and I'm just going to give you my experience of buying things as a consumer. Now, I have to say I've done a couple of little buying things across the world in different places in the last year or so, some of which have been an absolute failure, but most of them have actually been really successful, and I want to talk you through how it's worked and how I've done it. But the other thing that is really important to point out, you have got to be careful in what you're doing if you're buying from another country. The websites that I'm going to talk about today, I under no circumstances am I recommending them. I'm just recounting to you my performance and my experience of them, sorry. So these are some of the things that I brought abroad, and these are some of the things that I think are really important to note. So the first thing that I bought when I was shopping abroad was a very basic, simple thing. And to be honest with you, I did this because I wanted to test the website. Now, as I said a minute ago, this is by no means an advert for this website. You make your own choice on where you buy your tools. And there are actually now lots and lots of websites where you can buy tools from abroad, import them and use them in the UK. Some of the most popular ones are things like Banggood, AliExpress, Wish, and there's some of the sites we're going to be looking at today. If you've got a specific thing that you would like to buy, I would always recommend you looking at one of these sites just to see if there's something there, because usually, even with the cost of freight and the cost of packaging and air freighted delivery, they're usually pretty good. But the very first thing that I bought when I was shopping online abroad was one of these. Now, this isn't the actual one I bought. The one that I bought originally, I don't have anymore. But this is just a router bit. And the reason why, I can't get it out of the packet. The reason why I went for a router bit was the site that I bought it from, and I bought this from Wish, had a selection of router bits that we couldn't get in the UK. This is actually a sort of a grooving bit for you to sort of be able to groove and join pieces of wood, a bit like a mitre really. Now, I bought this because from Wish because it had a really good choice. It was really cheap. Now, I did buy this before the pandemic when everything seemed a lot simpler and was definitely a lot cheaper. And as I said, this isn't the one. The original one I've got, I actually broke, not because of the manufacturing, just because of the way I use it. But this one is a direct replacement for it. Now, these retail, and at the time I looked at them, you couldn't get the exact one on Amazon, but the ones that you could get on Amazon were retailing at between 12 and 14 pounds to buy. This one I bought from Wish was £6, and by the time I'd figured in the postage, the packaging and the shipping, it came to something like £10 or £11, which is a bit of a significant saving, really. I mean, it's at least a fiver, and that's at least a cup of coffee or so. Now, in terms of the build quality, I can't obviously compare it to the one that you would buy off Amazon, but when I was looking at Amazon, I also discovered that the country of origin of a lot of the products I was looking at through Amazon were also China. So I thought I'd give it a risk because A, I wanted to test how the website worked and whether it was any good and whether I was going to get ripped off and find that somebody had gone to Bora Bora using my credit card. And B, I wanted to see whether it was something that was worthwhile doing longer term, because the cost differential is really, really high. So this was the first router bit, not this actual one, but the first thing I bought off Wish. And interestingly, it came wrapped up in the bubble wrap. It's very good bubble wrap, as you just saw. I struggled to open it. And it came in one of these plastic containers with a sticker on the side. Now, just a very basic sticker. You can see there, just a very simple basic sticker. But I then bought another router bit, and this time I bought a router bit on Amazon. Now, this is a stepping one, and it's for cutting grooves in. It's like a rabbiting bit, but obviously it's got an adjustable ring on the top, like a spacer. So a better quality product. But when it arrived, I was incredibly surprised to see it was in an almost identical tube, and this came from Amazon. And when I actually looked at the workmanship of the router bit, it looks identical in every way to the one I bought from Wish. Now, the only thing that was missing was that identifying sticker that you just saw, but I'm absolutely convinced that these were made in the same factory or a similar factory. And the price of this bit on Amazon, it was actually quite expensive. It was about £22 this bit, and obviously it had free shipping because I'm a Prime member, but very, very similar prices. Now, I've since bought other router bits on Amazon. There's another very similar bit again from Amazon, but when it came to buying my actual whole set of router bits, I went for one of these very cheap, very basic, very bog standard all-in-one joint sets. And this set, as you can see, has nearly every sort of big router bit that you're going to need in it. It's missing one, which is currently in the router at the moment. This set also came from Wish. It's identical to many, many sets that I've seen on eBay, on Amazon, an absolute bargain. And it was £14.99. I think with shipping and postaging, it came to like £17. And this equivalent set that I'd looked at on eBay was £29, £30. So the experience I've had with these has been fantastic. You'll have seen yourself in some of my videos that they work really, really well, really nice quality and not paying a lot. If I was doing tons and tons of routing every day, then I might think differently. But for the amount of routing I do, these bits have been really, really good. Now, as I just said, you do have to be very careful when you buy things from Wish or any of these other sites, Banggood, AliExpress. The router bits that I've just shown you all came from Wish, and I saw a deal on Wish about 3 weeks ago for a mortising router piece. Now, I bought it and I looked at the specifications. I looked at it very closely because I've been looking at them on Amazon, and then I plucked up the courage to buy it. I think it was £6 and it came to £12, I think, with postage, packing and delivery. And when it arrived, I got this, again, typical white sticker. Now, this apparently is an 8mm mortising joint. Now, when you look at it, it's absolutely ginormous. I mean, if you look at the end of that, I'm not entirely sure, apart from my big Bosch industrial plunge router, I'm not really sure what I'm going to get that through. It is the body is very well made, but the actual drill bit that's inside it is ridiculously bendy. It's really not good quality at all. I might try and use it one day if I can find an elephant-sized router for that to go in, but not really what I wanted at all. And when I contacted the seller on Wish and I explained that this wasn't what I thought I was getting, he basically referred me to the description where it said that you could get a variety of them. Now, this is one of the disadvantages when you buy from countries abroad, and particularly when you buy on sites like Wish and Banggood. The returning is not always very easy to do, and quite often the fine print of the items contains a lot of information where you think, well, you know, it doesn't tell you this, it doesn't tell you that, and it's not very clear. And obviously sites like Wish are made up of lots and lots of individual sellers. It's not one company that runs it all. So you do have to be very, very careful. So that, I'm afraid, is going to be sent to the scrap heap unless I can find a ginormous mammoth way of fixing it onto a device. And I should actually say in the advert it said it was suitable to fit with an electric drill. Well, obviously it isn't. So the next item is much more of a success story. I've got a stop block set up, a stop block system set up on my motor saw, which I'm sure you've seen in my videos, and I used a T-track on it. Now the T-track I bought for that, I got it from Amazon. It was very expensive. It was 1.5 meters long, I think, and it cost nearly £30, which was a lot of money, but it was definitely something that I thought, you know, I needed to have. So I took the plunge and I bought it, and it's been absolutely fine. But then I need another piece of T-track to make a sliding mitre jig for my table saw, and I bought this piece on Wish. Now this exactly the same as any other T-track, and yes, it is a very, very small piece. It was actually a little bit longer than this. I did trim the end off, but the cost of this was absolutely peanuts compared to what the Amazon track was. This was about £7, and I think with delivery and postage it came to about £11 or £12, which is, you know, very, very cheap. And I actually compared this at the time to similar sized pieces on Amazon, and they were a lot more than that. And it's absolutely fantastic quality. It's actually better quality than the expensive one that I bought from Amazon. So something like this, which is not at all, it's, you know, it's not a router bit, it's nothing electrical really or anything like that, well worth getting on there. And I was really, really pleased with the quality of that T-track. So something like that, highly recommended. So the next one that I'm going to talk to you about is actually the thing that I think I've had the most success with when buying abroad. I bought this item from Banggood, and again, it's one of those things where I just did it once to test the website to see if it was any good. And these are a pair of aluminium right-angled clamps. Now, I'll get them both out so you can see them, if I can get the other one out. Now, these are absolutely fantastic quality. These arms have got multiple clamping points, as you can see there. They've got a ruler around the edge so that you can mark up whenever you're clamping. They are really, really lovely pieces of kit. I've tested them with all of my squares. They are at complete right angles to each other, and they are very, very similar in the way they look and the way they're constructed to the ones that you get from, is it Woodpecker, I think, you know, the American brand, which are really expensive. Now, these two were £11 for the set of two. It was about £15 by the time I'd done the shipping and everything. And these are brilliant. I'm really super, super happy with these. And as I said, it was my first experience on Banggood, and I was hoping, fingers crossed, I was hoping that they were going to be good quality, and they were. Sorry, I've just remembered though, it's Rockler, I think these are copies of, and they are a direct copy. And as you'll find when you buy from most websites like this, especially the Chinese ones, quite often the products you get are direct rip-offs. But in my opinion, not used the other ones, but in my opinion, you can't get a better quality product for the amount of money that I paid for these. So really super, super happy with those. So I've saved perhaps the best or the biggest success story for last, and that comes around in the form of a battery. Now, we all know batteries for our power tools are very expensive, and if you're unfortunate to have 2 or 3 different types of tool like I have got, you're into 2 or 3 different types of battery charger before you know it. So I was looking for a sort of lower cost alternative to provide me with an extra battery, because when I first started the garage workshop in those early days, when my battery ran out for my drill, I had to wait until it had charged enough that I could start using it again. So I did a little bit of an investigation and I went onto Wish and I found some equivalent batteries. So I've got two of them. This is my DeWalt 18 volt XR Lion battery. I'm sure many of you have got these. Just a bog standard 18 volt battery. Really good work life, a little power indicator on the back. Just a really bog standard battery. Now I put my model of drill into Wish and I got their own version of the battery, which looks almost identical. The only difference is this is mostly black with a yellow button, whereas this is yellow with a black button. But apart from that, it looks almost identical in every way. It's even got the same battery indicator on the back. Now this is a 6 amp hour 20 volt lithium ion max. Now this is an 18 volt, but to be honest with you, I don't notice any real difference in them at all. This battery, the one that I bought online, is equally as good as this one. It lasts as long, it's as powerful when it's fully charged, it takes a charge in the same amount of time, and it's a lot less expensive than this. When I bought this battery, and this was before COVID, and I know the prices have gone up, this battery was £29, and it came to about £36–37 by the time I'd shipped and got it over. And at the time, you couldn't get these batteries for less than 50 quid. So you could almost get 2 for 1. Now, I was a bit skeptical, I have to say, but having put it through its paces, it is equally as good as the DeWalt battery. Now, I haven't had it long enough to say it's going to last years and years, and I'm sure the DeWalt one will. But actually, all these essentially are just lithium-ion rechargeable batteries inside here. So, being spurred on by that experience, I then moved over to my Ryobi series, because this is my Ryobi 18 volt lithium battery. This is a 2 amp hours one, and this is what I use for my Ryobi tools. But this battery, again, is just a single battery. And when I bought my Ryobi router that this came with, I got the battery free. It was one of those deals where Ryobi were doing get the charger, get the battery, get the tool. And having used it for a while, I thought it'd be great to have a spare. So back I went onto Wish and I picked up this battery. Now, obviously you can see there is a lot of difference in them. One is a lot bigger than the other one, but this is a 2 amp hour 18 volt. And this battery is also 18 volt, but it's 6 amp hour. And obviously it's bigger, the batteries in it will be bigger, but it produces exactly the same power. Just like the DeWalt one, it produces exactly the same power and it works in exactly the same way. It is as good as this Ryobi battery. So very, very pleased with it. It charges in around the same time as this one, takes maybe a little bit longer, but well worth it, and not under half the price of a replacement Ryobi battery. Now, if I was a professional workman, I probably wouldn't dream of investing in one of these, but for me, just an average home DIYer, very happy to have those duplicate batteries, because you save yourself a lot of money, and if you've got a lot of battery systems like I have, that's really important. So far I've concentrated on buying from websites mainly based in China, but that is not your only option if you want to buy tools from abroad. As we all know, some of the best woodworking tools that we have are manufactured in the United States. And those tools you cannot always get on sites like Banggood or Wish and places like that. You can only buy them in the States. Now, if you're lucky enough to have somebody lives there, or if you go there for business, or you holiday there a lot, then absolutely fantastic. But if you don't, you've got to look at an alternative. So I was after some pipe clamps, and there's lots of choices in this country for getting them, but I fell in love with a set of Bessie pipe clamps. And when I went to buy them, the cost was absolutely astronomical. Just for the actual clamp heads, not the pole, it was something like £80 for the set of clamps. And I thought I must be able to do better than that. So I went online and I went to the Home Depot, which is the American equivalent of B&Q effectively, and I found the Bessie clamp set. So these are the two ones. These are the official Bessie make. Hopefully you can see the name on the side there. And I decided on this set because I thought what I want to try and do is see if the way of doing it works. It helps you get the right way around. Seeing if the way of doing it works, and also to see how effective or cost effective it would be. So I went online and I found a website called Ship It To. I will put a link in the description. I am by no means recommending this site, I'm just telling you what I did. So I found a site called Ship It To. There are lots of them on the internet, and basically what it does, it gives you a presence in another country. So Ship It To gave me an American PO box, an American address where I can have things sent, because obviously the Home Depot and lots of American retailers, particularly DIY ones, they won't send to other countries, and if they do, it's an absolute fortune. So I went, I registered with Ship It To, I got an American address, I went to Home Depot, got what I wanted, put it in the bag, they shipped it to my American address, and then all they do at the Ship It To warehouse is just chuck it in another box and forward it on to you. Now, there are some really good advantages to this. Number one, you can buy things you can't buy in the UK, and up until recently, when the economy completely went to pot, it was a lot cheaper to do it because the exchange rate with the dollar and the pound was quite high, so it was a cost-effective way of doing it. But the only disadvantage is you have to be very careful in terms of paying import duty. Now, I bought a few things in the States, not all tools, and use Ship It To, and sometimes I've got away with it and sometimes I haven't. So you fill on the online declaration form, and for these Bessie clamps I filled it in and said they were a present, a gift. And when they arrived, I didn't have to pay any duty on them to release them, because what happens, they come over to like DHL or DPD or whoever the courier is, they hold it and then they email you and say, well, to get your product it's this amount of import duty. But because it had said, it indicated it was a present, I didn't have to pay import duty, they just delivered it straight away. But I have bought other things, even though it said it's a birthday present, where I filled the custom forms in, when obviously I've had to pay duty, and that does significantly increase the cost because obviously the government takes its share of the money. So if you've got something, I would say, that you really can't get, you know you're not going to America, or don't know anyone who is, then that's an alternative option for gifts that you want to buy. So, fellow woodworkers, I hope this has been a useful video for you. If it hasn't, please let me know in the comments. But I just wanted to do something different, particularly around gift buying time for Christmas. There are alternatives. And if you are interested in looking at the quality of some of these products, there's a really great video by Dave over at Grumpy's Workshop. I'll put a link to it up here, where he tests some of them. And there are lots and lots of DIYers, YouTube channels that have got reviews of those products, and that's a good place for you to have a look and see if it's worth it, or if it's worth it from the money that you're going to pay. But for me, I'm not saying everything's been a big success, but I've had more successes than failures, and I think with the cost of living and knowing that we can't buy everything we want to buy and the cost of wood, I think it's really important to try and make savings wherever you can. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If this is your first time at the Garage Workshop, please can I ask you to subscribe, please like and comment, and look at all the videos in my back catalogue. I've got quite a lot now. And for my regular viewers, thank you so much for your ongoing support. At the time of filming this video, we've just broken 700 subscribers on the channel, which is absolutely fantastic. Please keep passing it on, and I hope you have a fantastic week, all of you. I'll catch you on next week's edition of the Garage Workshop. Take care, everybody.